Hello. Today I'm joined by Melissa Wimple from the International Phlogistopathy Association. Melissa, welcome to the program. Perhaps you can start by explaining to our viewers exactly what phlogistopathy actually is.
Well, Bill, phlogistopathy is the practice of using traditional remedies based on phlogisticated air to cure disease. It's a practice in use now for over 300 years. And many of our members can vouch personally for its efficacy.
Well, that sounds very convincing in principle, especially because you've used some big long words. But explain how exactly it works for a layperson like me.
Well, Bill, there's absolutely no shame in not understanding big long words like phlogisticated. Indeed, this is one of the problems that members of the International Phlogistopathy Association see.
What problem do you mean exactly?
Well, Bill, our members are constantly bullied by those trying to turn the debate around. It is not helpful to patients to concentrate on a scientific explanation of everything. People are detracting from the good work that phlogistopaths do.
But phlogistopathic prescriptions are funded with public money. So we have a right to know, do we not, that there is a scientific basis to such remedies.
This is a common misunderstanding. Phlogistopathy does indeed have a scientific basis. We just don't feel that it is appropriate to confuse patients with these scientific details.
So I understand that. But perhaps you could still give a brief overview of what the scientific basis is for phlogistopathy.
Of course, with pleasure. In fact, how phlogistopathy works was understood as long as 300 years ago. The fact that phlogistopathy was understood by people even 300 years ago proves that it must have a solid scientific basis.
Okay, so I understand this is phlogisticated air, correct?
Yes, that's correct. So the process of preparing a phlogistopathic remedy involves what we call the phlogistification process. I won't go into all the details, because it's a complex, high-precision process involving a Bunsen burner. But basically, we take a sample of the substance known to be ailing the patient. For example, if you are suffering from insomnia, then we use a special substance called caffeine. Then, with the Bunsen burner, we carry out the phlogistication process. This process is more complex than it sounds, and people have to wear white coats while they are doing it. At this stage, we end up with a special substance called phlogisticated air. This is special air that has a memory.
A memory?
Yes. Not everybody realizes this. But if treated in the right way, air can actually have a memory. And so it remembers the substance that was used to phlogisticate it. Finally, we mix the phlogisticated air with dephlogisticated air.
Now I think I heard something about this. So if you add dephlogisticated air to the phlogisticated air, are you not diluting the remedy and making it less effective?
No. This is a common misunderstanding. In fact, the more dephlogisticated air that you add to the phlogisticated air, the more potent the remedy. As you can see, it is quite a complex scientific process involving a Bunsen burner, white coat and long words.
Yes, to a journalist with a degree in Greek poetry, that sounds entirely convincing. But what do you say to critics who are calling for randomized placebo-controlled trials of phlogistopathic remedies?
So again, Bill, this is a common misunderstanding. Phlogistopathy is not about treating patients as random entities. Phlogistopathy is about treating each patient as an individual. Randomized trials are therefore not appropriate for phlogistopathic remedies.
So what evidence do you have that phlogistopathy works?
Bill, there's a whole host of evidence. People have been using phlogistopathy for over 300 years. That's 300 years of people saying that phlogistopathy works. I see it with my own eyes every single week of the year. Only the other day, my very own mother had a raging headache. She took one of our approved phlogistic remedies for her headache. And by the next day the headache had completely disappeared. Or take another patient who had been unable to sleep for several days. After taking a phlogistic remedy for her insomnia, she reported that she had slept for several hours. And we have literally hundreds of similar accounts, from this year alone, of phlogistopathic remedies curing ailments. And there is similarly strong evidence going back 300 years.
And so what do you say to critics who are calling for phlogistopathic prescriptions to be banned? They say that only conventional medicines with proven efficacy should be prescribed with public money. For example, only a medicine such as paracetamol would be appropriate for your mother's headache.
Bill, patients should ask themselves this. Do they want to pollute their body with foreign chemicals such as paracetamol? You say, proven efficacy. But we have several accounts from members who have taken paracetamol and found that it has not cured their headache. But after taking a 24-hour course of phlogistopathic migraine remedy, their headache has disappeared. This is clear evidence that phlogistopathy works. But these people want to be selective in which evidence they take into account.
So you're not concerned about recent articles in the UK press, for example, which condemn phlogistopathy?
Our association sees these as simply libelous. And we are prepared to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to ensure that the public is aware that any statement criticizing phlogistopathy is unacceptable.
So there is a lot of money at stake?
Bill, it is not about the money. It is simply about ensuring the best for our patients. We are fed up with the pharmaceutical industry telling us that we must pollute our bodies with chemicals.
So how far would you go? If your mother were to develop cancer, would you recommend she take phlogistopathic remedy rather than modern cancer drugs?
Phlogistopathy must be seen as part of a holistic treatment. We would not condone any phlogistopathic practitioner prescribing only phlogistopathic remedies as a treatment for cancer. But cancer patients have reported that, when taking phlogistopathic remedies alongside modern cancer drugs, they often felt better on certain days. And many of those good days coincide with having taken a dose of their phlogistopathic remedy in the preceding 48 hours. Again, this is clear evidence that phlogistopathic remedies work.
You've mentioned several times the fact that phlogistopathy is 300 years old, and therefore must be a valid practice. But where do you see phlogistopathy over the next few years?
Phlogistopathy is actually going places where conventional medicine is currently unable to offer any solution. For example, take the problem of cancer caused by cell phones.
Cell phones cause cancer?
Yes. An extremely alarmingly worrying study published by a UK journal called the Daily Mail has demonstrated conclusively that over 50% of people are wondering if they should be concerned about this issue. It's a very worrying issue for people worrying about how they can sell things to combat this worrying issue.
Yes, that does sound very alarming. And so what can phlogistopathy offer?
Phlogistopathic researchers are currently working on a highly complex process involving a Bunsen burner. I won't go into all the details here, but it involves phlogisticating air using a radioactive material. In its raw state, the material is so radioactive that our researchers must wear a special white coat in order to handle it. But once dephlogisticated, the air is safe to be breathed as part of a phlogistopathic remedy. And because the air has remembered the radioactive material used to phlogisticate it, despite no longer containing any of that material, it is then effective against cancer caused by radiation.
Again, to somebody trained in counting rhyming stanzas, this sounds totally ingenious. Are you not worried that people will steal the idea?
Not at all. We have already been granted 123 patents on this process. All thanks to the rigorous scrutiny of the U.S. Patent Office.
Well, Melissa, we must unfortunately leave it there. Unfortunately, our time is up. But this has been a most enlightening conversation. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome.